You coveted my heart in life. Would you still do so?
The Souls-like tag on Steam is filled to the brim with games of varying levels of quality. However, in amidst the sea of sometimes bad Souls-likes, a rare gem appears. I am incredibly picky about my Souls-likes because I find that sometimes developers are trying to make a one-to-one copy of a Dark Souls clone rather than something that stands proudly on its own, paying homage or even nodding slightly to the creator of the genre. I believe that Prison of Husks does that and did just that in less than 20 minutes of my time. Currently in development by Glasshead Dolls, Prison of Husks was meant to be a portfolio project, which later evolved into a prototype on itch.io in 2023, where it garnered an audience who favored it, leading the team of only 3 to further develop Prison of Husks into a fully fledged game. In the director's own words, Prison of Husks is a nostalgic, single-player Souls-like set in a melancholic, bittersweet world inspired by the interconnected level design of earlier Souls games. Awaken as a doll and seek your beloved. Explore a painted afterlife full of secrets and adversaries. Challenge fearless hoarders of pigment whose desires stand in your way and defeat them in whichever order you wish. As you search for your dear, you may assist others whose hearts ache and restore love. However, you will also face off against bosses whose desires for one another stand in your way. The beginning of the Prison of Husks demo sees you waking up in a cell, with a doll giving you a key to free yourself and continue. From here, I would personally recommend that you run right past the 2 enemies here and pick up the first of 4 weapons. The longsword. Don't worry about the rubble closing off the path behind you, as the area loops back on itself through the comfort of an illusory wall. As promised. I would highly suggest taking a minute or 2 of your time to look around this area for any items, especially since one of them is this game's version of an Estus flask. Also, just to sidetrack for a moment, the sound design in this demo is great, and different areas of this prison sound different from the last, which ironically brings the entire thing together quite well. The forest white noise is by far my favorite, but I am quite partial to woods and forests and the like because of the Darkroot Garden. But anyway, once you engage in combat, it follows a Dark Souls path, but also minorly Bloodborne and Sekiro too. On the bottom right of your HUD is your health and armor status. The grey heart is your armor's durability. When the number within the heart reaches 0, your blood will be attacked and you will die if the vessel appears empty. If you run out of AP, or armor points, you can restore the durability through combat infinitely, effectively promoting an aggressive approach to engagements, at least with the gear available to you in the demo. Just like yourself, enemies have AP of their own, which can be depleted by direct hits. However, it will restore at a fairly fast rate if you don't hit after a moment. But honestly, I wouldn't stress too much over this, as you can only get around 3 hits in with any of the weapons in this demo, so personally, I would maybe suggest focusing more on parrying and focusing on the actual health bar instead, as you do not have to bring the AP to 0 to do damage to health. However, if you do manage to break an opponent's armor, you can riposte them, and they will be stun locked with every single attack until their armor repairs. For this enemy in particular, I treated them as kind of a punching bag. You don't do a lot of damage with the longsword, so you can use your time here to learn the parry timing. Which, by the way, is not the same as Dark Souls nor Elden Ring, but it isn't as tight as Sekiro. I don't know the actual numbers, and please correct me if you play and you find out that I'm wrong, but it's like somewhere in between all three of them. So, yeah. If you feel the longsword doesn't connect with you well, like I did, you can actually run right past this enemy to get the twin blades, the second of 4 weapons. The twin blades are my personal favorite, although they aren't the coolest in the demo, I will say. As I keep saying, you can get 3 hits in before your stamina runs out, so a 2 attack, 1 weight approach worked well for me. Just like in Dark Souls, you can dodge with invincibility frames, of course, but honestly, parrying or maintaining aggression seems like the much better option, unless a heavy attack is about to hit you. But obviously, dodging is an available option for those who struggle to parry or just don't want to parry. These red mirrors you find in the demo are your bonfires. But once an enemy has been killed, boss or otherwise, they will not respawn when resting. Which is fine, as there isn't a leveling system within the Prison of Husks demo. But, just like Dark Souls, it will replenish your Estus flasks. And once you reach the second mirror, feel free to rest at it and confirming your checkpoint to be there, even though you do have to drop down a ledge to reach it, as you can take a shortcut back up to the first mirror if you feel like you missed something. If you haven't missed anything, you can combine certain items you find to create consumable buffs, which is always a nice thing to fall back on if you're struggling. The adrenaline pellet in particular was my favorite, as I kind of just deleted the enemies in the demo with it. The champion is the boss of the Prison of Husks demo. She's slow enough to not be too much to handle, but I will say that some of the moves did catch me off guard. And obviously the music here is super good, which is always a great bonus. One thing that I noted is that you can't animation cancel in Prison of Husks. Or, if you can, I miss the timing for it every single time. For example, if you get knocked down, you will remain knocked down for the full duration, or full frames, which often leads to enemies input reading this and performing a combo. So, personally, and obviously subjectively, I wouldn't spam the dodge button to get back up, which will obviously consume all of your stamina since you have very little to start with. And since every enemy, notably in this demo, is using longswords, you can and will get back hit. But this is intentional, as it can be parried with a slightly more forgiving parry timing, and is also kind of a cool mechanic when you think about it. I will admit, as you can probably see in this footage, the camera takes a little bit of getting used to, since this particular style of camera hasn't been used in gaming for a long time. But I didn't find it to be so distracting that I couldn't focus on the game. If the camera ended up in an odd position, I would simply just run to a more open area which resetted it. after defeating the champion, you can then open the portcullis and the demo comes to an end, with a total playtime of less or just over 20 or so minutes depending on your playstyle. Now, onto the KRZ is looking into things again part of the video. I noted, and probably noted first, that all of the enemies, NPCs, and the playable character itself in this demo are female, and also, notably, funnily enough, are dolls. So I do wonder if the full game, or at least maybe a subpart of the game, will be as disturbingly feminine like Bloodborne was, which, if you know, you know. Saying that, I only mean it in the way of speculation, as I truly do think Prison of Husks has a great individual stature, which I'm very excited to see continue in the full game. There's also a refined elegance to Prison of Husks, which is kind of rare in Souls-likes, as I feel a lot of them like to hone in on the brutality of Dark Souls, which is a completely fine thing to do, and I personally have nothing against it. For example, I really like that the first Berserker Kazan took a purely combat-based approach, as, well, I like fighting. But it's always nice to see a game deciding to focus on the more, for lack of better wording, untouched parts of From Software's many games. So, yeah. Anyway, if you would like to play this demo for yourself, or you just have a spare 20 minutes to half an hour that you would like to play a game in, I will leave any relevant links and any other information in the description of this video, and also I'll leave a link to the game on Steam in the pinned comment. Also, I just thought I would say it, this is not sponsored, I'm not being paid, nothing of the like, but anyway, that's not relevant. I'm just making sure you guys know that this is not a biased view. Is that the right wording? Like, I'm not saying this because it's monetized for me. I really do believe that this demo was great, and because it is so interesting, especially with the feminine side of things and how everything is like a doll, and obviously the stylistic choice, it got my KOZ brain thing tingling. Like, if you've watched any one of my videos, you will know, okay, maybe I get what she means. But if not, whatever, it's fine. I'm not being paid for this video, so don't worry. Oh, and just one more thing. The Lily of Insanity looks better on the rooftop.